Mom deserves the best, and there's no better place to shop for Mother's Day than Whole Foods Market. They're your destination for unbeatable savings, from premium gifts to show-stopping flowers and irresistible desserts. Start by saving 33% with Prime on all body care and candles. Then get a 15-stem bunch of tulips for just $9.99 each with Prime. Round out Mom's menu with festive rosé, irresistible berry chantilly cake, and more special treats. Come celebrate Mother's Day at Whole Foods Market.
Courtney.
Here we are again, kids.
We're back in the Bronx. We're back in the Bronx. I'm going to let you finish. It's August.
We're in the Bronx.
And
some shit has gone down, kids.
I mean, this is how much we care. This is how important this is to us. Courtney, today I fulfilled a bucket list of something I never thought I would ever do nor wanted to do. I have now taken the 5 train to the very last stop.
No, bitch, let me just tell you something. I was sitting on the train, and I was like, what's this avenue? What's this avenue?
Where are we going?
And the crazy thing about the Bronx is it's so vast. And I know little bitty sections from where friends live.
I don't need to know this section.
As a native New Yorker.
Me neither.
The 2 boroughs, I can get all around Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I was born there. I was raised in Queens. I can get all around Queens. I can get all around Manhattan.
As far as I'm concerned, you can stop the Bronx at Yankee Stadium.
You start talking about the Bronx, and I'm like, where the fuck is that?
And
Staten Island. That's just a whole other situation.
Yeah, Staten Island. Wu-Tang. Wu-Tang. Anyway, but here we are. It's August.
Some shit has gone down. You remember last time, guys, we talked to you about men behaving badly?
Oh, my God. It's, men behaving badly is just sort of like... It's a lifestyle, wouldn't you say? It's a lifestyle.
And who knew we'd be able to do a part 2 5 minutes later?
We could literally actually change the name of this podcast
to Men Behaving Badly.
I'm going to let you finish.
Right.
And we could literally interview the nice little doggy that's sitting outside, and he would probably he is a boy, right?
Yeah, he is a boy.
He would have something to say about it. But yeah, so, we... All joking aside, and then we'll go back into joking, but all joking aside, obviously it's August, and there has been this has been in a never-ending litany of horrendous times in America. This has been a horrendous time in this country. I don't know about you. I am just at the point now where I feel like I'm constantly being shocked. Like literally shocked, not like surprise shock. Like literally somebody's like putting currents under me to get me to confess, Listen.
So it's a hard one, right? Because I look at it all and I think nothing surprises me anymore. But when you see the cover-ups and just all of the shit that's just happening, it's like, how's anybody supposed to have fair footing and a level playing field when it is absolutely clear that there's a whole level of shady shit going on? Like,
shady shit is being kind. I mean, I'm on the 27-hour train ride up here. He got rid of some protections for some animals that we probably don't need them. They're just animals, and
shout out to the animals. I love you, animals. You need the protection.
They're just an ecosystem. I mean,
right.
Pish tish. We can just buy another one. And is now going to make it almost impossible for anyone who's getting a green card to receive any kind of medical, free medical attention because,
the level of cruelty that we're seeing happen. I have to listen. I understand.
Do we have footage of him pulling the wings off of flies as a child? Because he's really that kind of level.
I absolutely understand, having to try to say to people, you need to come into any place legally, right?
Oh, yeah, totally.
I have friends who moved to other countries.
When we came up to the Bronx today, we had to do it legally.
I saw them having to deal with a whole bunch of shit just to live and work there.
Yeah.
But I also know that people are coming here escaping some really fucked up shit in a lot of places and looking for a better life.
Really fucked up shit.
So why don't we try to work on having some processes in place finally, rather than saying, you know what, we're going to treat you like subhuman once you get here. I just feel like we're better than that.
Racist.
Yeah.
All
We're
right.
better than that.
We are. Well,
Well, you know what?
we may
As
not be
people,
better. We
because-
may not be better
because
than
I
that.
think, well, here's the problem. I think there are a lot of people who are better than that, but they're not active. They don't get in the fight, right? They sit home. You yell with your friends. You're frustrated. You're angry, but you're not active. And it seems like that other side that's against something is really active at, I'm going to make sure we target this situation.
Can I just say one thing in favor of immigration? Our host, who is from Greece, just
Yes.
made me the most delicious coffee drink, and if he hadn't come to this country, I would have to, I don't know, suck on a root. Anyway, but speaking of sucking, I don't know, thinking of some holistic thing.
Okay, I
you
was
could
like,
do.
what's going on? This
no.
Marianne Williamson is here today. She's our special guest.
There's
Crystal.
a dark psychic force in this room, and it's called the Bronx. Oh, actually, and then we'll
You
get
know, the
back
Bronx
to.
is kind of great. The
No,
Bronx
I
is
shouldn't say.
great.
My mother's
Yeah.
from the Bronx.
Yeah,
for
the Bronx
Christ's
is
sake.
great.
But I got off the train, and there's these 3 old men. It's like something out of a fucking Prego commercial, and they were talking Italian. I'm like, oh yeah,
Right.
this is that part of the Bronx.
So-
All right. Anyway,
So
sorry.
before we're gonna get to our fun stuff and laugh, but let's just tackle some of this dumb shit and serious shit that's been happening.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Epstein.
Hey,
My feelings on
the
this,
one death
yeah,
that may
yeah.
unite the right and the left.
Yeah, my feeling on this is really about, I think you and I spoke about this earlier, it's the victims. Because you always want people, well, I should say survivors. I hate calling people victims.
Right.
They're survivors, right? You always want people to have that moment of, you feel like there's something in them that needs that certain thing satisfied, which now you know they're not going to get.
Right.
Except, nobody does all of that shit alone, right? And supposedly they're still going to
not
go
at all.
after some of the people.
No,
'Cause
there's
it-
going to be a lot of women.
Oh,
That to me
that
is
chick who's supposed to be
appalling.
his best friend,
Ghislaine
right?
Maxwell. Yeah,
Right.
that to me, I don't know, because crazy me, I sometimes would like to think that women are better than being the person that helps sell children and young adults into sex slavery. But, if I were these women, I'd be seeing if my passports are working.
Yeah, and here's the other part, right? They keep calling him now a sex trafficker. Well, who was he trafficking to? That's the big question.
Well, I mean, that's
because
the
he
thing.
wasn't trafficking to some regular dudes, and all of these high, powerful people
Yeah.
who were his friends are rushing to distance themselves from him, which makes me think.
Which have been for a while.
Yes, but now they really are. I mean,
Yeah.
I even saw fucking Bloomberg on TV the other day.
Michael Bloomberg?
Yeah, Michael Bloomberg was doing press all day yesterday about gun control and different shit.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Epstein. And immediately when they asked about him, he was like, well, I kind of met him once in the 80s. Everybody is doing that.
I think
one.
everybody
Yeah.
did. I mean, here's the thing. Okay.
But don't all those billionaires kind of hang out together and know
They
each other?
kind of do.
Especially the New York ones.
There are many things I don't like about Michael Bloomberg. That doesn't seem like his kind of. I don't even want to think about Michael
I'm not
Bloomberg
trying to
having
attach
sex.
him to him
No.
like that.
Here's the thing with Epstein. All right, these are the things. The way his case was always treated, and then we'll get into the death, but the way his case was always treated, the fact that this has been an open secret. I mean, he is the white R. Kelly, okay?
Right.
It's been an open secret, except with different kind of clout. R. Kelly had clout in a different way because he had other people dependent on him for a living. It just further drives home the point that women are not valued in this country
At all.
They talk about,
Your body's under war. Everything.
We're revered, we're worshipped, we're put up on a pedestal. She's my queen. She's my all this other bullshit. But when it comes,
Until she wants to have an abortion.
right, exactly. When it comes down to it, we are valued only for our breeding capabilities. And that's pretty much it, because this was right under
And your
everyone's
youth.
nose.
Don't forget it.
Your
You
youth.
guys are young.
Well, yeah,
They're
yeah.
obsessed with you women men really are obsessed with you women being young.
Well, that's breeding.
I have a
No,
friend,
that's not
Now
breeding in
listen,
terms of good manners.
I have a friend of mine who I always yell at. I'm like, you always used to
One
tell me,
friend? You only have one friend
Well,
you
no,
always
really.
yell at?
Who used to always tell me his hopes and dreams and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And he wanted to be married and have kids. And I keep yelling at him like, yo, I'm in my 50s, you're in your 40s, where are your kids? And his energy to me is always like, but I'm still doing my other shit, but that's okay, because I can, my wife, I'll marry a girl, she'll be like 28 and have kids, and it's like, wow, dudes really think like that. It's like, I can get older, and I can have my kid, because I'm going to marry some girl, I have some girl who's 27, 28, 31.
Oh, sure. Let me
and
tell you
she'll have
something.
babies.
Try being a middle-aged woman in America. You're invisible. You're invisible.
I'm a 52-year-old gay black man. Sweetie,
Wait. You're black?
Yes, and gay at 52. You know what that means? You know when you go to the beach and you go in the water and you step on the broken shells? You're like, what's that under my foot? That's what it's like sometimes. It's the same thing. Getting older in this country, nobody gives a shit. I don't give a fuck because I'm like, yo, this is the package and it's real good.
But we're saying about Epstein. I mean, so there's like two levels of the story. There is the unbelievable hashtag rich white man privilege of literally running a prostitution ring and being an inspiration for a Law and Order episode, which is when you know that if you're in the zeitgeist like that, everybody knows you are.
You've made it. Law and Order episode.
You know, so there's that level that he did so little time that people who've been found with weed have done more time than he did. So there's that level of it. The thing now that he has died, and I'm going to be one of those people who is, yes, he killed himself. All right, I'm not going to.
Dun, dun, dun.
No, here's why I'm going to say that, and then I'll get because I don't want us to become the Vince Foster Pizzagate mentality.
Yeah.
Did people kind of go hum-de-dum-dum-dum? I think I'm going to go get a cigarette now. Probably.
Right.
Was he somebody? I mean, he was a child rapist. From my years of watching Law and Order, I know that child rapists are the lowest on and Oz. I know from that. That child rapists are the lowest. So
shout out to Oz.
Yeah, shout out to Law and Order. Yeah, God.
All of it.
But anyway, I do know that they were the lowest of the lowest. So,
absolutely.
So it would not surprise me if all eyes weren't on him. And it is crazy that a man who's already tried to commit suicide once
was taken off a suicide watch like 6 days later.
Right. And
well, remember, first it was a couple of things. First they tried to say that his cellmate tried to kill him. Right. Then when that didn't really pan out, because he was like, I didn't try to kill him. Then they were like, well, we kind of don't know what was wrong, even though he was found in a fetal position with marks around his neck.
Listen, if I'm Jeffrey Epstein, if I'm any really, really super rich white guy who's been skating my entire life, okay, and I am about to face charges that even if the minimum was applied to him, he'd be like, bye, bye, bye. Right. I'd be on a suicide watch.
I have another question. Where does his money go? He doesn't have kids, right?
No, he has no kids.
So he has like $500 million. What happened?
I mean, that's what they're probably going to go after. They're going to go after the money. I mean, I'm sure he has godchildren or nieces or I honestly don't know.
All of that property, everything, you know what I mean?
No.
I always wonder when
he's also one of those guys though that was not as rich as he was rich, but he is not as rich as they said he was. I mean, he was a twisted sister. Let's
there's a lot of that going on.
No, he was a twisted fucking sister. But the thing is with him, and this is what I've sort of come to realize, those of us, you know, who want Trump gone, we have been looking to everything. This is going to be the thing that gets him. This is going to be the thing that gets him.
Which has been the Democrats' problem. Everything is like, they built everything up to be like, this is the one.
And you know what? I don't think Epstein was going to be the one because Trump's base doesn't give a fuck about some rich Jewish guy in New York banging a bunch of hot girls.
Trump's base doesn't give a shit about anything. And here's where I give Trump credit of being smart. He doesn't email, right?
Nothing's on record.
The paper trail never comes back to him. It comes back to different people, but it's not going to come back to him.
But he tweets, and that's official government. When he tweets,
he doesn't seem to realize that that's official government.
And that's the other thing too. So we were talking about. So I do think Epstein killed himself. Again,
I think he killed himself.
I think? And I don't like getting into this grassy knoll shit. I don't. It just does us a disservice when we're down in their stupidity level. But I will say this: if any other elected official, I don't care if you're running for dog catcher of Woof Woof Town, had gone on Twitter and co-signed a conspiracy theory that the former president of the United States and his former senator wife, who was almost our president, had someone killed. Are you fucking kidding me?
No, it's really.
Are you fucking?
It's actually quite disgusting.
It's disgusting.
And here's my thing.
And once again, Republicans, where are you? I know you're on vacation now, but still.
And I've said this to some of my friends who are Trump supporters. It's like, listen, I'm not going to argue about who you support. Yeah. Get your thing. But what I get angry about, at all of you about, is the fact that you just don't hold him accountable.
For anything.
It's like you think that everything he does is okay, and it's not okay. You vote for somebody, great. You want them to work for you, great. That does not mean that everything else that they do is okay. Like when people tell me, oh, well, when he says this part, I don't agree with that part, but he does this part. I'm like, you know what? You have to speak out and say that part.
The economy tanks, he's done.
You should not. Donald Trump, who has had so many allegations of different women and different things, should not be the one pointing to some other. It's always like he's that guy who will kick you when you're down. He's that person if you fall,
he'll turn on you.
Will,
he has no
will
loyalty.
turn on you in a minute. So when I look at all of the people who have so much loyalty to him, I'm like, you're really loyal to a person who would never grant you that same thing.
Oh, not at all.
And all of you people who love him and support him, Americans are the most litigious group of people.
Oh, yeah.
If you got treated the way he treats people and employees, you'd all be suing your companies left and right. And if your employees talk the way he talks to people, you'd be getting them left and right. So hold him accountable.
They won't do it. They won't do it. And the Republicans who, like I said,
what did fucking Obama do that has everybody so angry?
He was born black.
No one is the perfect politician.
No.
They're so angry, and it's like, listen, he dug this country
because
out of shit. He handed Trump an economy that was doing better. Now you see, this guy is surrounded by this guy's like a child molested. He's like, oh, I don't really know him.
No, they feel like, I mean, and we're kind of, but I think with Obama, it was because he embodied literally a change that some people in this country, Eddie Glaude, Eddie Glaude, the professor from Princeton.
Yes.
So he did this, I actually watched it in real time. This unbelievable breakdown of stuff on the Nicole Wallace show, which is one of the fucking smarter shows on TV.
I like her.
Me too. I forgive her for Sarah Palin
and The View, right?
Yeah, that was not for. She was too smart for that.
She was a little too smart for that. Even though I love. Shout out to The View.
He said that. I mean, this is all about the white people of a certain type looking around. This is all about people when they make a phone call and they go press 1 for Spanish, and under their breath they're going
right.
Obama represented that, the other becoming part of the mainstream, and that's what makes them angry. Obama was like, gay people can marry, even though he had to be dragged kicking and screaming to that by Joe Biden.
Yeah, he was. He in the beginning, he was like marriage between a man and a woman.
Right. Okay, so Obama, whose politics were actually not that liberal, he was a leftish of center, but he was not like some flaming radical.
But here was the thing: he's one of those guys where that as he went along,
he progressed. He
progressed in things. And honestly, I'm not a Donald Trump fan. I'm not a Donald Trump supporter. But I thought when he got in office, I really did.
You thought he was going to change?
There's something about that office and having to realize I have to be the president of everybody would make him open up. And then I realized that's not what this is about.
He's the president of the hair club for men.
And let me tell you what Donald Trump is. Real talk. And then we'll get off this subject.
Because
and even
we
Jeffrey
said
Epstein.
we weren't going to talk about it.
Right.
We hate him.
And I don't even want to go in deep on Jeffrey Epstein because I think he's a cochon. And I think that's disgusting. I think when I look at Donald Trump and this whole situation, I thought, wow, there would be some evolution to something.
No.
You would realize even the people who I don't like and did not vote for me, I have to be the president for them too. And I realized,
he has no interest
this
in
is just a marketing tool. When he leaves office, for all of his businesses, former president, he's going to have super hotels, super this,
if he's
super
not in
that,
jail.
And he'll make speeches. Listen, that speech circuit he'll go around. He will be the darling.
I don't think he will.
Really, because the conservatives fall in
no,
line. And I'm
can
looking
I
at him
tell
like,
you something?
I'm like, guys, he's not a fucking conservative.
No, but you know why I don't think he will? And then we'll go. I don't think he will because once he's out of office, he no longer serves their purpose. And once he no longer serves their purpose, they will then turn around and say, thank you for the judges.
But I was going to say, for the court. That's what they wanted.
Thank you for the courts. Thank you for those fetuses.
Right.
Thank you for getting rid of our regulations so that we can kill the babies with our chemicals.
Right.
And now, bye-bye. Because they never liked him to begin with.
No, they didn't want him. He wasn't their guy.
They wasn't their guy. He's never been accepted. He is a classic case of the kid who never got accepted at the cool lunch table, and so then he decided to buy the school.
Right.
Good metaphor, right?
That is a good metaphor.
It's a good metaphor. All right. I don't want to talk about it anymore because it's fucking up my frappe.
I know, but I will say this. So let's take it on to more fuckery in Walmart. Walmart has decided, in the wake of the mass shooting...
How many times have you been in a Walmart?
Well, let me just tell you. The very first time, I was an adult the first time I went to Walmart.
Me too. And you would have thought I was acting like I was going to fucking the Vatican / Disneyland / Xanadu.
I'm talking full on adult. I was working for Matthew at Music World.
I was in my 40s.
Yeah, I was
In my 40s.
I was working for Matthew at Music World. I was in Houston, Texas.
That's Matthew Knowles. For those of you who aren't on a first name basis with Matthew.
Sorry. That was my first time walking into a Walmart, and I was fucking with the people who worked there.
Did you feel a little dirty?
No,
you know you were supposed to?
I was actually really fucking with the people who worked there. I went to one person. I said, "Where's the Gautier section?"
Oh, you are an asshole.
And she was like, "What?" I was like, "Gautier."
Gautier. You Gautier over there. The first time I was in a Walmart was in outside of Joshua Tree, California. And I was with my then boyfriend, and we went to, I don't think either one of us, or maybe he had been because he was a world traveler. Mm-hmm. And I went in there, and we were starving, and we had to get some food, and I think we bought some grapes and some water. But anyway, long story short, I felt like, I hope nobody sees me because we're not supposed to be going to Walmart. Because this was when Walmart was like literally the Mexican, the detection camps, shutting down businesses and locking people up. The best watermelon I've ever had in my life, I bought at a Walmart in Fulton, New York.
No, let me just tell you something right now.
They have amazing produce.
Shocked. I bought so much shit in there, and
cheap.
then to top it off, when I went to leave, there was a McDonald's in the Walmart. Now, anybody who knows me knows.
You're supposed to be boycotting McDonald's now. You know that.
Fuck
right?
that shit. I love a quarter pounder with cheese.
Okay, I'm just saying.
Why am I supposed to boycott McDonald's?
Oh, because they give it's basically every fast food place gives money to Trump's campaign. I mean, fix the price.
I just realized everything. At this point, you're going to tell me the lube I use, gun oil, gives money to Trump's campaign. It's like Magnums and Trump.
As long as Trader Joe's doesn't give them money, I'm good.
Well, they're a German-based company, so I don't think.
No, not Trader Joe's. That's Aldi's. It's German.
Aldi and Trader Joe are owned by the same company. Do you not know the story of that?
Oh yeah, maybe I do. And anyway, Aldi's is good.
Well, hold on. I just want to give this is a quick thing for people to notice. Aldi in Germany was split into like two sorts. It's like Aldi North and Aldi South.
Right.
And because they couldn't do that here, that's why one is Aldi and one is Trader Joe's.
Yeah, but Trader Joe's started 1,000,000 years ago. So
did Aldi. Aldi's been around for a lot of years. People don't realize that.
Okay. Just don't fuck with my Trader Joe's because I'll just cry. I waited like 30 years for them to come to New York.
And don't fuck with my quarter pounder with cheese.
All right. We agree on that. Walmart. Okay, so there's this horrible. We have to work on our segues because we're talking like.
But that's how. Listen.
All right.
That's why this show is two New Yorkers. This is how we talk. Get all the way into it. When you come to visit New York, if you meet real New Yorkers in one conversation, we will give you 18 different conflicting opinions on the same subject.
And then get pissed that
you
can't keep up.
Right?
Why can't you keep up with me?
Why don't you fucking understand what I'm trying to tell you?
I don't understand you because you've been telling me 100 things. And then pick up the conversation we started last Tuesday.
Right, exactly.
So as I was saying,
and you better come with a fucking quarter pounder with cheese because I'm hungry.
I got an empanada on the way here.
You did get an empanada.
Viva la revolución.
Yeah, remember when Walmart, for most people who don't live in New York, you don't realize there's not a Walmart in Manhattan. Is there one in Brooklyn?
There's none in New York City.
There's none in the five boroughs, right?
There's
none. Because each time they've tried to come, they're small business killer. And I get
they're anti-union. That's what it is. They're a union busting city.
You can't fuck with those prices, man. I've gone now to the ones in Jersey with a friend to go shopping.
No, they're very cheap.
And I will come back with 6 bags of groceries of all of the things that I buy that would cost me so much more here.
Right.
And it's so much less there. So it's like, how do you compete
with
that?
Here's our, it's oddly enough, Walmart's corporate policy has actually in some weird way towards some things it's been shown to be as heinous as everybody else's. The thing that's disturbing us about Walmart and that's happened is this last we've gone a whole week without a mass shooting. Woohoo, USA.
It's only Monday. I'm scared.
That is true.
It's only Monday.
So the shooting in El Paso, which was at a Walmart, where ironically, I guess the guy could have bought the gun right then and there and then started shooting these people up, but maybe they have a 5-minute waiting period in Texas. I have no idea. But anyway, long story short.
So thank God they're taking the disturbing video game
Yeah.
down, so
the
as you pass it, going to the gun section.
the Republicans in the C. Dolores Tucker move of 2019. I'm sorry, what? I dragged her. Sorry. Here we go. Remember, wait a minute. Parenthetical thought alert.
Right.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Sorry.
When you said that is, look that name up, kids, and understand that moment.
Yeah.
Sorry. Her versus Tupac.
Yeah.
That whole
her
moment.
versus keep hope alive. Anyway. So yeah, of course the Republicans are blaming everything but the gun.
Video games.
The same video. Now, video games are violent. I mean, they are violent.
But here's the thing.
They play them all over the world.
Well, it's soon. Republicans do the thing that always happens when it's someone white that does anything. Immediately.
It's somebody else's fault.
No, we go to mental illness.
Mental
illness. Immediately, like if you're a person of color, it's like they pull your whole family apart. They break it down.
Right.
Want to see where you're.
Black people are not allowed to be crazy unless they're standing on a street corner.
Latino people, anybody, brown people. If you are white, immediately you are seen as a lone person.
Troubled.
And then we go into that spiel about mental illness.
I love that you said spiel.
You know?
I love that black people say spiel.
Well, because as blacks, sometimes we look at it and we're like, oh, so he gets the benefit of the doubt.
No, I just like that you said spiel.
Spiel?
Just the word.
Spiel.
No, but it is true. So
it's just
so
sad.
Walmart,
we joke about this, kids, but we were everybody. But we're trying to find just some glimmer of hope.
I don't think there is. I don't think there is in this.
I can't give up hope.
I know, but the thing is, you just keep wondering. It's like there is not a public space. Okay, oddly enough, in New York City, we are probably safer than somebody in Tuscaloosa or some small town somewhere, because only the bad people have guns in New York.
That's kind of true.
Only the bad people. And if you can avoid being
unfortunately
next to a crip,
or the person coming shooting up the park because he's trying to shoot one person,
right, if you can avoid that, your chances are pretty good. Whereas the gun toll, what is it, 22 people, 9 people, so that's already more people in a 24-hour period that have been killed in New York probably in the last 3 months.
And the funny thing is, you and I are not anti-gun people.
No,
I grew up no, but I think that's important when we have this conversation, because I think so many
no
people,
issue with people owning guns. I would never do it, but I don't have an issue with you being a responsible gun owner,
Absolutely.
Registered license, training.
Absolutely.
I think you should go through as much.
You shot a gun. You say it all the time. It's fun.
It was fun. I didn't shoot it at anybody. That would not have been fun. No, but the point is that I think that when you adopt a pet, they put you through a lot of background checks.
Right.
I think you should possibly have to go through as much as that.
I gotta say, now that you just said that, I realized when my best friend adopted his dog, before they could leave, they fucking called me from the adoption place for the reference.
No, they want to make sure
for the people trying to give a dog a good
you
home.
have to give you have to get training if you want to be a foster parent for a dog.
Meanwhile, for a gun, they're like, assault weapon?
Take it. Here.
And
what
this is
color
what I
would
want to
you
say
like
to all
it?
my responsible gun owners who we need you guys to come on the side of this and just say, let's try to figure some shit out. Yes, the Second Amendment.
Most gun owners are for background check.
And here's the thing. I think that most responsible gun owners really hate the way this whole argument
I think they hate the
and the way this argument has been framed, right?
Yeah.
Because when you hear people talking about, listen, let me break it down really simple. You can be a gazillionaire. You can go buy fucking the most advanced private jet they have
I'm enjoying my
on the
frappe.
planet. But you know what you can't do? You can't go in there and buy the military jets.
Well, that's the thing. I mean,
But it's the same thing with guns. You can buy when people talk about assault weapons, I've been in a gun store.
Yeah,
if you take the assault weapons out, there's still about 8,000 other styles and kinds of guns that you can buy.
Well, nobody should be able to walk around with 100 rounds of ammunition.
Why do you need war weapons?
You know what? You remember when people used to smoke cigarettes much more than they do now, obviously, and they've regulated it. And one of the things that
people still smoke.
No. But what I'm saying is when they would show those ads with the peoples with the vocal, what I think what doctors need to start doing and healthcare professionals, they need to start showing videos of what a person looks like when they're taken into an emergency room, and when the government.
They have. It started by that doctor.
Right.
Remember some doctor, I can't remember where she was from.
Yeah.
She tweeted something about,
what it looks like.
And people are trying to say watch your place, and all of these, it's a hashtag, and I can't remember what the
Okay.
hashtag is, and all these doctors started posting what it looks like
I've
after
seen
they
that.
did,
Right, but
and you see them just covered in blood, people
No,
covered
it's
in blood,
horrifying.
everything, and it's like, you know what?
It's war wounds.
But we are so accustomed to violence that I think that even when hearing about people
No,
being
but that's
shot,
I think that is something different.
but it doesn't shock people anymore.
I beg
People aren't shocked.
No, I beg to disagree. I think that if someone, I think it's the same thing like with war. All right, the reason people support the Iraqi war and stuff like that is because they didn't see what the bodies like. What stopped the Vietnam War was the footage. When people started seeing the caskets coming home, when they started seeing people being shot in the head, that, no matter how desensitized we are, that's heavy to start seeing what it actually looks like. So I'm not saying it's going to break the gun lobby. I'm just sitting there. The Second Amendment is not an absolute. As we
For
talked
anybody.
no amendment is.
again.
The Second Amendment is not an absolute.
Thank you.
They limit First Amendment speeches. I cannot stand on the corner.
Do we know what year? What year was the Second Amendment?
Same
added to
year
the
the rest of them.
Constitution?
All of them.
Well, no, there's 27 amendments.
No. It was one of the early ones. Yeah.
Because here's the thing.
It was the second.
Well, because here's the thing. Like I tell everybody, the Constitution was written almost 100 years before we even had electricity in the United States, if I remember correctly.
But the Second Amendment, because it
But
talks
it's
about
an
a well-armed militia.
Right,
so,
but this is why I'm asking you, what year was it added?
No, Google
because
it.
we're talking
Google it.
about a country where at that time
it was written when they were writing. It's one of the ones where they were, the guys in the wigs were sitting around writing the. The point is that it's one thing to say it's in the Constitution. It's not an absolute. We have freedoms in this country. We don't have absolute freedoms.
Right.
You can kill somebody in self-defense. Allegedly, you can't just kill somebody. You can speak your mind, but you can't yell fire in a crowded theater. That's always the thing.
Listen, and I don't care if you have guns. I think you should be able to have listen, I think that there's certain protections just like with free speech. I think you should have as many as you want.
If they're licensed.
But I do absolutely.
Trained.
But I absolutely also think there's classes of things.
Locked away. They have to be locked away.
And there are levels of guns that you just should not, the average person does not need
No, you don't
access
need
to.
a weapon of war.
You don't need a machine gun that shoots.
To shoot a bunny rabbit.
Yeah, you just don't.
Unless the bunny rabbit has a machine gun.
I'm not saying you
too.
can't have. You should have. If you like to go hunting, there's a gazillion kinds of hunting rifles.
Bow and arrow. There's a concept.
Like what?
You want to hear a crazy question? Okay. Oh, not crazy question. A crazy situation?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. In 1999, a dear friend of ours, Leslie Pitts, passed away.
Shout out to Leslie.
Yeah, shout out to Leslie. So I still had a writing career back then.
Right.
And I was supposed to interview Brian McKnight, which is like fucking walking Ambien, but whatever. I mean, I liked his music, but he is literally like walking Ambien. And one of those guys who talks about the sanctity of marriage, and meanwhile the side piece comes in during the end. Oh, allegedly. Allegedly! Okay, anyway, long story short.
Amy.
Long story short, my editor at the time, Dave Bree, who sadly passed away himself a couple of years ago, Dave said to me, blah, 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 you don't want to do the story if you're not up to it, because I was really sad. I was really grieving. I said, no, I'll do it. So we take this limo, and Brian had been alerted that something bad had happened to me.
Right.
So it was going to be, where do you think this, so he knows already that I'm sort of in a delicate state, and my best friend has died, and he kind of knew. Where does this motherfucker want to do? Where's the location for the interview?
I'm so scared, dude.
A gun range in fucking New Jersey.
But you know what?
So we're in the limo,
I can almost
driving
see
to New Jersey,
Right.
and they're strapping and loading up, and I'm sitting there.
Wait, they were
with
strapping and loading in the limo before they even got there.
No. His bodyguard had the license, because in New Jersey you have to have a license. So the bodyguard license got everybody guns, and they're asking me, do I want to shoot? And I'm like, no, it's okay. I'll just sit here and mourn the death of my friend. Are you fucking crazy? Meanwhile, you're like this love man, this kind of, and we're like, anyway, I just thought that was the first time I was ever around guns. The first time I ever saw a gun outside of like a cop.
You see, my father was a cop, so I grew up in a house with guns.
Yeah.
But funny enough, I wasn't one of those kids who was curious about his guns. I knew where he kept the guns.
Well, that's smart.
He had a
That's
shotgun.
smart.
I knew where he kept all his guns. I never once played with them. I wasn't one of those
not,
kids.
because it was Daddy's job.
But you got a lot of kids who play with the gun.
Not me.
All of that stuff. I used to watch him when he would break his, and he took really good care of his guns.
Well, of course,
because
he valued.
them.
Because cops are the first people who don't want people with these guns, because a cop cannot fight back against somebody who's like 100 rounds of ammo.
And I wanted to actually just keep one of his guns after he passed away, but it's really interesting. One of the first things my mother did when he died was call his best friend Willie Johnson, who was a cop with him, to come and take all of the guns out of the house. So by the time I got to the house, my mom called me to tell me he died. By the time I got to the house,
You with a gun,
literally
I don't know
the guns. Well, I just wanted it because it was my dad's.
No,
And
I
it was
know,
like-
I know.
I wouldn't have pulled it out. I wouldn't have used it, but it was my
Oh,
dad's.
you would have pulled it
I know,
out.
I know.
You
I
pulled
probably-
it out for less.
I pulled it out for a 6-piece of chicken McNuggets.
What I did for
And
love.
if you don't bring the barbecue sauce with my nuggets.
Speaking of which, all right, but anyway, Walmart, boo on you. Stupid move, getting rid of video games. I mean, come on.
And listen, we've been hearing that argument about video games being violent since video games.
If that were the
never
case, then
invented.
fucking Japan would be riddled with bodies on the street.
And don't blame video. We love violence. Turn on TV. Sex and sexuality is what we have a problem with
I'm
in
not
this
a
country.
big fan
You
of
turn on
violence.
every show, you can see somebody's throat being sliced,
I'm not a
their head blown off, no problem.
Speaking of which, weirdly weird segue, but there's this really hilarious meme going around about Jeffrey Epstein that Villanelle
God.
killed him. Villanelle from Killing Eve. Do you watch Killing Eve?
Yes, yeah.
Ooh,
You
that
just told me.
Villanelle
I
did it.
finally that's hilarious.
So it's Villanelle. That's who did it. It was Villanelle.
Yeah, like, and to wrap up this segment, all of this, stop with all of the conspiracy theories about everything.
No
I
conspiracy.
find it really funny that people just don't want to believe the simplest answer can honestly be the truth.
Well, how can climate change be a is a hoax, but Jeffrey Epstein was killed by the Clintons?
By the Hakuza.
I'd like to bring the Latin Kings into this somehow if we could. Are they still around?
I believe they are.
Are they?
You want to know how I know they are? Because a friend of mine...
I mean, no disrespect to the Latin Kings.
No, I'm going to tell you how I know. Because I've been living uptown now for 22 years.
Right.
And a friend of mine bought me these beautiful beads from their Oshun Marie beads. They're beautiful. But every time I would wear them, people would stare at me, right? So one day I'm going to the barber shop.
Oh, no.
And my barber was like...
I know where this
My
is
barber was
at.
like, you in a gang now? I was like, what are you talking about? No.
Oh,
He was like, yo,
no.
those look like the Latin bead kings. I was like, get out of here. No, these are from Brazil. And they're from Brazil. Then 2 days later, I had them on again. I'm at a party. And my friend's boyfriend walks up to me and he goes, yo, like, what are you doing? I didn't know you were in a gang. And I was like, okay. And I don't wear those beads in New York.
I wouldn't.
Because he was like, those look like the OG
Latin King
beads. He was like, yo, people see you with that around your neck. You live uptown. You might not even have a chance to have a conversation with somebody. You find yourself...
Or they might think that
in a-
you're like Frank, what's his face? Frank Lucas.
or any
Ish.
kind of shit.
Frank Lucas-ish.
Do you know I used to speak to him on the phone and had no idea who he was?
Oh, wow. We have to save some material for that.
Okay.
How? All right, go. Okay. You already started it.
When I worked at Violator with Mona...
Oh,
okay.
Aren't we going to be doing a whole music industry?
I feel like I was sitting at a barbershop the other day, and I was, was telling this guy who's actually a cop and has done some stuff in the music industry, just about our podcast. And I was getting all the guys in the shop to follow the podcast, and I was telling him, I've retired from the music industry. That's what I'm doing now. I'm working on some different things. And he was just like, you guys need to have a show. You guys just tell your stories. And I just think, to me, it's just
your
shit that I've
stories are
lived.
way better than mine.
We both got good ones.
Yeah,
You've blown my mind with some good shit too. But it's almost like, what do we really say, right? Because there's things you
I don't
want to
care about
say.
naming names because I'm never, it's like, it's expected that when you're dealing with the artists and you're a writer, it's almost expected that they're going to be acting like assholes because I wasn't directly working for them.
Right. But see, I was.
Yes, you were working
and
for
some of my and listen, I've seen some things. I've been around a long time.
Beyonce killed Jeffrey Epstein.
Okay, here's the thing.
Can we blame this on Haitian Jack?
I've met him too.
Me
okay,
too.
But wait, here's the thing. Okay, I'm going to go to it. Frank is also at Violator. Let me just tell you something about I was only at Violator for a little less than 1 year, and then Matthew hired me at Music World.
Right.
But it was the best time. I honestly felt like really freaked out going there. It's Violator management.
They were the walls were riddled with bullets.
Well, the last shooting happened the week before I started.
That's when I interviewed Chris Lighty, and I go in there, and he literally is wearing a bulletproof
Well,
vest.
this is what happened.
R.I.P. Chris
This is what
Lighty.
happened on my Chris Lighty. Chris Lighty was an amazing man.
Amazing.
He was so cool. And,
so cool.
And I love talking with him. And I love that
and that'll lead us a good thing into our next topic about Dela.
And I love that my last vision of him.
He died right around this time. Too.
Was I can't remember where I saw him. He was managing Mariah Carey. We were someplace and laughing and talking. So that's
he's a nice guy. I met him. I actually met him through Dela.
But my first day at Violator, I'm like, okay, it was a great day. I'm thinking everybody's going to hit me.
It's not a good idea to do. I'm eating my friends.
She's, I'm like the gay boy, so I'm scared going in there. I'm like, yo, I'm me. I can't be. This is hip hop company, but everybody was amazing.
I think you mean the out gay boy because there were a lot of gay boys.
Yeah,
up
true.
there.
But I was really messing. So the first day, the shooting has happened a week before.
Right.
I'm sitting at my desk, and it's time to leave. Everybody's leaving, and not of the girls, but every last guy in the office all of a sudden pulls out a bulletproof vest. And they're all strapping him on.
I know.
So I'm sitting there, I'm like looking, I'm like, oh. So I get up, me, and I go in the Mona's office. I was like, hey, girl, hey, it's been a great day. Do I need a bulletproof vest? Because I seem to be the only man who doesn't have one. So did something happen? And I'm like, because literally, it is really disconcerting when you sit around a bunch of people. And I'm not kidding.
Right.
Every one of them, as it was time to leave, put on a bulletproof vest.
It's like being the only person without the gas mask.
And I'm the queen sitting there like, hey, it's been a great...
I remember sitting there talking to... I remember sitting in Chris's office and we were talking about something. I mean, I was doing something about something. I don't even remember what it was about. And all of a sudden, there's like this box there. And I'm looking at it, he goes, oh yeah, it's my... They want us to wear them. I'm like...
Oh, and I even missed the whole story. Frank Lucas.
Sorry.
Frank used to call Mona.
Yeah.
And he would just be like, it's Frank. It's Frank. It's Frank. I had no idea. It wasn't until later that I realized Frank Lewis. And people like, Frank Lucas. And I'm like, okay, what's that? And then when I get the whole backstory, I'm like, wait, that's who I was talking to on the phone? And even with Jack, I'd heard of the legend of Jack.
Oh, yes.
But when I met him, because he was Jack.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he's going to lead with I'm Haitian Jack.
No, but it's like, to me, it was just like this nice guy who was friends with people that I work with.
Yeah.
Then you hear all these stories.
Crazy stories.
And it's kind of, you're just like, wait a minute. I don't know any of that. I just know.
No, I know.
It's all crazy.
I had heard stories too, and we'll save these. We'll remind us that I'll do my Wyclef Haitian that stuff. We'll pick a year. We'll pick a genre. We'll have like our hip hop genre one, our R&B genre. I can give you some rock. We'll pick a genre and then we'll do that.
Because there's some fun shit.
Did you ever sleep with any of the artists?
No.
Me neither.
I never slept. I know people who did. For me,
I
always kept.
I felt like I was the only one who wasn't.
And I had opportunity.
Oh, me too.
But for me, I was always really good at separating Courtney.
Yeah.
And then work Courtney.
Yeah. I also just felt like it would blow up in my face.
And I always felt that I just didn't want people to know. They needed to know the work side of me.
Yeah.
None of them needed to know that personal
It just
side
couldn't have worked. It would have blown. It just wouldn't have been a good. It just wouldn't have been a good look. All right. What are we going to...
Well, I think we should go into... Tom Silverman and De La Soul.
All right,
and
so
I know you have a lot to say.
Yeah, I mean, here's all right, so basically...
Give him a little overview of the 30 years, Tommy Boy.
All right, so De La Soul, as I'm hoping everyone knows, and if you don't know, now you will know in about 2 seconds, one of the most important hip-hop groups, one of the most important pop groups of the last 30-odd years. Their first album... ushered in a whole new genre of hip hop just an incredibly innovative, important group. And they, for the past several years, had been involved in a ongoing negotiation with their label, or former label, I guess, because they're not really recording anymore, Tommy Boy Records, which is headed up by Tom Silverman, who, you know, had great ears, did a lot of really good stuff, you know, responsible for Queen Latifah, Naughty by Nature, 808 State, Information Society, House of Pain, yada, yada, yada. Okay, anyway, long story short. RuPaul. Yeah, Tommy Boy was sort of like the artier Def Jam in some ways. Is that a weird way of putting it?
A little bit.
Yeah, it's a weird way of putting it?
Well, no, I mean, it's actually a good...
More eclectic Def Jam.
Right. They were an indie...
Yeah, they had an indie mentality, but they were straight.
They went across the board. Whereas Def Jam was really, especially at that time, it was hip-hop.
Yeah.
They were like, you know...
And they had the best merch.
We're talking Supermodel of the world. Tommy Boy gave RuPaul,
Information
who was a
Society,
7 feet tall drag queen at that time, a deal, and nobody else was doing that.
And a lot of that
time.
is also the fantastic ears of Monica Lynch.
Right.
So but anyway, so long story short, Tommy Boy and De La have been in negotiations for years, because De La Soul is one of the few groups, period, whose stuff is not streaming. And whatever you want to say about streaming, and there's a lot to say about streaming, it is the way that the young people are getting music. So it's the only way for them to hear it. I mean, granted, well, you know more about the business side, but anyway, long story short, they have been trying to negotiate with Tommy Boy for years and years and years. Tommy Boy was offered, or
and there is sort
Tom
of a backstory about when the albums were done and samples and weird
shit.
There's
a
little
lot
convoluted.
of stuff. There's a little convoluted because De La was one of the first groups to really have a knockdown drag out, very complicated sample clearance thing with the Turtles, if I remember correctly. They were very sample heavy.
Right.
Really,
but that was back when, you know, the 80s, 90s, all those hip hop groups, all of those albums,
right?
really,
and it was also before the rules for sampling were set, and they were really innovative. Anyway, cut the long story short, what's happened is that they have just decided they've given up. They're not going to negotiate with Tommy Boy and Tom Silverman anymore, because they were offering what was Tommy Boy offering them, like 10 cents a stream?
10%.
10%.
And 10%.
And these are albums that have sold millions of copies.
We're talking 30 years of them having a relationship with Tommy Boy.
Right.
And seems to have been a very contentious fight.
Yeah.
And at this point, streaming is where people like label. I don't know if all of our listeners and people know. There was a time when the music industry was completely in the toilet and everything was dying.
Right.
Streaming has saved them. It is, especially the back. And guys, it's like 20% of the new shit and 80% of all of that catalog is what is making everybody and all of these labels a bunch of money.
Right.
So there comes a point in a lot of artists' careers where you want to kind of buy back your masters and own your masters. And usually for a lot of artists, you're granted that after so many years. But Tom Silverman is of the... the Berry Gordy model, where it's like, I did I gave you these opportunities. I own it all.
In perpetuity.
I'm not giving any of it up. We're not in the, what Tom told.
Did they ever do reissues? I don't even think there was ever any De La reissues.
Well, that was the thing. When they've been trying to, I think they've been trying to clear all of this up to do reissues and put shit out. And everything was supposed to come to streaming. But when the guys really stood up and said, this is happening to us, a lot of people in hip hop, like Questlove and Pete Rock and Nas, are like, don't support this shit, because they're not benefiting from it.
And also, De La Soul is one of those groups where they have generated a tremendous amount of goodwill. I've never read anything negative about De La Soul. They work with lots of other artists. They work with, Gorillaz. That's the only one I can think of off the top of my head. But they're a group that everybody likes and have paid their dues and have been consistently interesting. So for people to rally around them, especially up against a big business, speaks to their integrity. And it's really a shame, because here are De La Soul. I mean, were they ever going to be Jay-Z in terms of record sales? No. I mean, they're never going to make that kind of money. Bands, hip-hop didn't make that kind of money back then. Rappers tend to have a lot of producers, a lot of samples. You start dividing up the pie, yada, yada, yada. But the point is, with De La, they got to be in their mid to upper 40s at this point, right?
Absolutely.
And these guys...
Yeah, because Jay-Z will be 50 this year.
Right. These guys are always on the road, which is great. But they shouldn't have. I mean, always, like you were saying.
And like I said to you earlier, they're on the road because they have to be.
Right. If you open an envelope in like Bern, Norway, there they are.
And if you have all of those albums where you've received no money from, your revenue is going to be going on the road. If you don't go on the road, no money. You're not making any publishing money from this album.
Right.
And clearly, if somebody wants to put your album on streaming and you're trying to do these deals, and they're like, well, we're going to give you 10%. Like, I don't even know how
that's insulting.
To me, it's really a whole other level with Tom Silverman.
And I have to say that I don't know him well. I dealt with him over the years, because I wrote about stuff. I did a bunch of bios for Tommy Boy, which is neither here nor there. Every writer did bios for a label. I liked the people at Tommy Boy. I liked him. I liked the label. I thought they had great stuff. That's really businessmen are business, they're business people, but really shocking. It's a disrespectful offer. It's a disrespectful because this is not a bunch of new kids. This is not Little Nas X.
No, this is, and guess what? These new kids aren't signing deals like that. Be clear. The smart ones are not signing deals like that. They're understanding what has happened to people in the past and knowing how the revenue works and streaming and all of that. So their deals are really different. But you would look and say, Tom Silverman, you've owned these albums for so many years.
Right.
You made your money.
30 plus years.
You don't want to sell them their masters? That's already fucked up. That's shitty. Okay, we can move past that. Your percentage to them, to three guys who created this work,
plus probably I would say Prince Paul would be in on it.
Is you guys can have 10%,
which means you guys can have 3.3%,
and you can have 90.
Is that 10% each or 10%?
No,
as a group.
As a group.
Oh, that's shameful.
10%.
Yeah, that's shameful. So anyway, what's ultimately, along with De La Soul suffering financially, which is fucked up because.
Or having to stay on the road to be away from your family.
Right.
Because what people don't understand is like, okay, well, good, you can tour and make money. This is true. But you know what? To really make money, think about what you have to do to support your family and shit. That means staying on the road.
Right. But also what's just really, and this just again speaks volumes about how we value, they shouldn't have to go through this. They have given, even if they had stopped recording after the third album, they gave hip hop and pop music and culture as a whole 3 of the best albums ever.
And people consider those first 3 albums classic albums.
Oh, the first album is considered. Whenever
I
they
still
do
have
the
that
argument,
on vinyl. I have the picture disc. I have a
really?
picture disc on vinyl of that album. It's amazing.
No, it's just really, really a shame. And it's always a shame when you see business people continuing to screw artists, and it's really sad to have a group of that stature just finally say, that's it.
We fought the good fight.
We
just can't keep
going.
So
to anybody out here listening, and what they said, and this is their words, basically, if you ever see any De La Soul music up on ye old internet, keep in mind that they are not getting a dime.
So don't click on it. Don't stream it. And that's hard
Call
to say.
somebody over the age of 50 and we'll have it on CD for them.
I have all of their albums. I have them digitized. Call me. I will just email you, send you a file. Because I'd rather you, at this point, have the music and enjoy it and know it and not give Tom Silverman another dime.
Yeah, it's really sad. And like I said, it's disappointing because, record company people are shady. But this goes above and beyond, I have to say. And I guess we're not getting invited to the Tommy Boy Christmas party. Okay.
All right, so guys, here's, you've heard us say this before. We have a final segment of our show called Stupid Shit That Meghan McCain Said Today. Now, I
take credit for that.
And Amy should, absolutely. Now, it's not everything, the views are hiatus, so we don't have any Meghan gems today. But it really is the name of the segment, and it's for us to give you like a little rant to talk about some shit that we think is ridiculous, even though, in September when the view's back on, because I like Meghan McCain, it'll probably be some shit that Meghan said today.
Oh my God.
So what is your stupid shit that Meghan McCain said today?
Well, the thing that's actually really kind of, the new Vanity Fair. What is up with Vanity Fair?
I used to love Vanity Fair. Carter's gone. All those people.
Oh, Tina Brown?
Yeah.
It's so funny because I used to read Vanity Fair. And I'd say, oh my God, these are such puff pieces. Oh my God, bring me back a puff piece,
but
please.
I loved it. I had a subscription to Vanity Fair for years. That was my motherfucking
Me too. Well, here's the thing. Okay. I applaud the new editor for not putting naked women on the cover. I really
Yeah, but there was never naked women.
No,
really
yes, there were.
on
There was
cover.
always the girls. Okay, I applaud her having a much more. There are a lot more black folks, a lot more brown folks on the
Right.
cover. I really do applaud that.
But can the pictures look nice? Because I hate the Idris cover. I hate
Horrible.
it.
How do
I'm
you
like,
take
how'd you make-
how do you take a bad picture
how
of
you
Idris
make
Elba?
him look like
no,
that?
No, okay. But the thing that drives me nuts, and I'm reading the new issue with Kristen Stewart, who to me is the equivalent of watching paint dry in terms of great actress.
Yeah.
So fucking boring. She's hiring a lot of authors, like by authors I mean like write books, like super smart people write
Right.
books to do these celebrity profiles.
Okay.
Newsflash, you don't need a Pulitzer or a Nobel Prize winning fiction writer to do a celebrity profile. Because it's too much about them. So I'm reading this stuff and it's like, I wish I brought it with me. But anyway, it's driving me nuts because there's too many big words and I'm not getting the dish. And I read these magazines as a form of escapism because I'm a very smart person. I can read books if I want to read. I want to look at pretty people and I just don't like it. Continue.
Okay.
And I know Meghan McCain would probably think it was great. So that would be something stupid Meghan McCain
My
said.
rant, and then we're out of here, is I would like to say a big fat shame on fucking you to Linda Johnson Rice. Linda Johnson Rice.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Lyndon Johnson.
Linda.
Oh, thank you. I was going to say, what?
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah.
You should be ashamed of yourself for ruining your family's legacy, hiring Desiree Rogers, who got fired from the White House,
explain.
to run Ebony and Jet magazine, and to watch it completely fall apart. And I remember when Desiree said, when they were thinking about breaking apart and selling the photo archive, while they're just sitting there, and then the magazine gets sold to this consortium, they don't pay the writers, and then to watch Black history, our legacy, those images, you're talking about really poignant images.
Groundbreaking images.
And groundbreaking photographers and the work go up for sale. And then,
this is the Ebony and Jet archives, right?
And then you have Getty and a group of foundations get together a week before. Not any of the Black foundations and any of the people that we always hear talking about.
Right.
We got to own our stuff. This is a big chunk of it. Come in, buy it. They came a week before and said, let's get together and do it. And at least they said they're going to give these photos to the African American Smithsonian Museum in DC
good.
and to other cultural institutions
Schomburg or something
across the United States, so that the public will always have access to these images.
Is this Johnson Publications?
Yes, it is.
Oh, he's a Trump supporter. You know that, right?
It's just a mess. All of it. So I look at all of that and I say a big fat fuck you.
Yeah, that is
for
a fuck
mismanaging that entire situation and not caring enough and to make sure that this did not happen the way
these
it did.
are. I will tell you, as a young white girl, I used to go to my Black friend's house and read Jet magazine, and that was the first time you heard about a lot of people, and it would be the equivalent of Life magazine and those images just falling into the hands of somebody.
Somebody.
Right.
You know?
So that's totally effed up, and I agree with you. Meghan McCain would be, because she has a Puerto Rican husband, Meghan McCain.
Okay, before we go, I just want to say this.
You gagged when you heard that.
Miss Thing, I'm
minding
my own business.
Like it was Friday night in the Pines.
I'm sitting in my little sarong, doing my little work at the computer, have the view on in the background. And next thing you know, I heard Meghan McCain say, well, I'm married into a Puerto Rican family.
Called you. Did I not?
Sure did. I turned around to look at the TV and I was like, did you just pull out a Puerto Rican?
I called you. I texted her, or I texted you or called you and went, what?
I was like, she just pulled out
a Puerto Rican out of her
husband.
ass. Out of her ass. All right. We gotta go, Courtney. We're getting so good. We're actually letting ourselves finish.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna let you finish.
I'm gonna let you
let
finish.
me finish. I'm gonna let you finish. All right, kids.
Bye.
We'll see you on the next episode.
Enjoy the rest of your summer.
Stick it in.
It's NFL draft season, and that means it's time to start thinking about fantasy football. FantasyPoints.com features industry-leading experts and prognosticators using proprietary hand-charted data to help you score more fantasy points. FantasyPoints.com is the place to go for whatever kind of fantasy football you play. Whether you play fantasy football, daily fantasy sports, or do a little bit of everything, Fantasy Points has the meticulously researched content to guide you to victory. And why wait for the fall? Fantasy Points also covers the new spring football league, the UFL. Join the guru, John Hansen, Scott Barrett, Joe Dolan, and other massive names in the fantasy football universe with an exclusive offer. Use code Pantheon for 15% off any Fantasy Points package, including the all-in package, with access to every article, tool, and data nugget that Fantasy Points has to offer. That's FantasyPoints.com and code Pantheon for 15% off at Fantasy Points. FantasyPoints.com, code Pantheon. Score more fantasy points.